Unika is the newest character in Guilty Gear Strive Season 4. In this video, I'm going to talk about what type of character she is, her strengths and her weaknesses. We'll be going over her important buttons to play the neutral game, how to attack, how to defend, some knockdown things, along with some simple combos, and finally, a couple of tricks. So for starters, Unika is an all-around type character. She's able to attack from many positions on the screen with big buttons and projectiles. Her character's specific mechanic, Arbalist, which you can perform by doing 6 heavy slash, lets her upgrade special moves. You can tell a special move is upgraded based on the color of the attack. When it's red, it's the normal version, but when it's blue, it's the upgraded version. Also, similarly to Bridget, she has follow-ups on her slash and heavy slash buttons, but uniquely, she's able to cancel all 4 with different ones. So she has both a far slash follow-up and a 2 slash follow-up on slash buttons, and both a 5H follow-up and a 2H follow-up on her heavy buttons. On top of that, all these follow-ups are dash cancelable. So what's good about this character? For starters, damage. She does a lot of it. She has some of the highest damage in the game bar none, especially if you're able to end combos with her enhanced super. Then, conversion ability. She not only has the ability to do 2K2D into Wild Assault for extensions, but she essentially can get hard knockdowns off of really far hits. Between long combos and how she moves around the screen, she builds a good amount of meter quickly, and she has a meterless reversal. For weaknesses though, she's slow, so movement speed is not that big of a deal, but also her main pokes have a lot of recovery. I think she's kind of weak against jumping, but specifically from like this kind of distance. So not only does her 6P, 5H, and 2H all have a lot of recovery, and she herself is not fast. So if I tried to chase something like this, I could possibly miss and get whip punished. But she also has a low jump, which while good for neutral against grounded opponents, it can make chasing opponents who are going really high on the screen a little bit difficult. Jumping is also pretty decent against her pressure too, depending on the point that you're at. Finally, she's pretty RPS heavy. That means rock, paper, scissors. So if you don't like interactable pressure, playing her can be kind of annoying. She has to aim to hit pretty low committal options, which might be annoying long term as people improve against her. And then finally, I think her HP is kind of low. This one's kind of just vibes, but because I don't know the actual value, but it just felt like I was dying fast. So next, let's talk about her important buttons. So for starter, we have the 5K. So many characters have 5Ks like this. Having a 5K like this is pretty good because there is a range where moves like this will whiff and you will be able to easily reach and counter poke with 5K. Also, it has a relatively low total duration at 20 frames, so it's a pretty safe button to whiff. And then you have far slash. So this move is enormous and hits from around here. And it also has more block stun than normal. So for example, I have the opponent set to guard first only. And this is airtight off the far slash, but off the 2S, it is not. Even from absolute max range, this thing is airtight. This move is also really easy to convert off of. Now, side note, you might have seen this conversion I did into Enhanced Stun Dipper. There are ranges where it can whiff unless you use a technique we'll talk about at the end of the video. This does lead me to talk about this 2S follow-up, which is your main conversion tool from a distance. Then you have 2S. So the nice thing about this move is that it is significantly faster than far slash. So far slash has a total of 37 frames, which is honestly quite a long time, where 2S is 31, so you're approaching like bike and far slash speed. So this is not only a good move to just press when you don't know what to do, but also it is a low on top of that. Then you have jump heavy. So this move complements her heavy jump kind of well, along with the distance she likes to play, because you're not really air dashing with this character. She's not particularly fast. You're going to be using a lot of jumps and fadeaways. So a jump in like this could catch people off guard, plus you have good cancel options off it, and it can be kind of hard to anti-air a single jump. Now, our jump D is nice in that not only does it cover a nice angle plus retreats, she also has air options of it, and it automatically upgrades her 236H. So remember that red means not powered up, blue means powered up. So JD does that, which is very nice. Finally, it's cancelable on whiff for whatever reason, but like that's fine, I guess. Then it's 5H. So if you've heard discussion about the character, this is like a money button. So the downside is that this move has a ton of recovery, but the plus side is that it is extremely fast. It is huge. It has a follow-up that's plus and dash cancelable. It's one of your main ways of dealing with kind of ambiguous jumps because of how high this move hits. Then you have 2H. So I think this move is low-key slept on. She crouches at the beginning, so it could be used as a situational anti-air. It's a little bit slower than 5H, but still has really good range, plus to save heavy follow-ups. So next we're going to talk about offense, so how to attack people with Unika. So she has a lot of the hallmark things of this game of having a close slashes +1, mashy jab, but the basics here is that your follow-ups upgrade special moves. For example, you have //. This move will upgrade your overhead. So as opposed to doing, let's say, 2K2D overhead or something like that, you want to try to avoid using her lights and try to use slash buttons at an ideal range so that you can use the upgraded special moves. For example, if you need an easy, safe cancel option, you could use Enhanced Stun Dipper, because this move is -3. As opposed to just doing Stun Dipper and then getting punished, or quickly canceling the overhead and also getting punished, you can instead use the Enhanced Stun Dipper to be safe, so you can play all sorts of guessing games around what to do next. To reposition uncontrolled space, you have a couple of ender options. You can use the // follow-up, which, since it seems to be a projectile, she doesn't actually get pushed back. So you might notice that when you use moves like 5H, it has like really extreme pushback, where you get pushed back really far. Or even on // itself, you get pushed back, but specifically on // and also the 2S ender, you don't get pushed back. So this is actually a pretty good range for her to play at. The button is also pretty safe at this distance. There's not characters that have a 6-frame move that hits from here. You're at a disadvantage, technically, but because of the distance, you're safe. You can also choose to use this. This is 214S. This has some pushback. It is really, really huge, and you can use it as a deterrent in a bunch of situations. One of them, which I'm going to cover after one more option I want to mention, which would be the Enhanced Overhead. This move is also -6. It could be hard to use it from a good range, like this. The main purpose of it is to hit jumps though. Now for H buttons, the big thing is the 5H follow-up. So even though this has a lot of pushback, your 2H actually does not have even close to the same amount, and it still has the same follow-up. So if someone lets you do the 5H follow-up, you could dash cancel it and be extremely plus. But the opponent could always jump over this. This is kind of where 214S comes in the mix. And this forces people to use more delayed options. It can be especially strong since we talked about distance, it hits from here. And in case someone picks mash, this is a great starter that you could always combo off of. So it's a pretty good deterrent for us, and it keeps you in a space that she likes. Now, the 2H follow-up also is pretty good in that it's 0 on dash cancel, and you can go into laser. So being even on dash cancel is really, really good. This basically is a straight guessing game for the opponent. And the gap between 2H and the enhanced laser is small enough that people can't mash it. And the enhanced laser is very valuable because it's a plus unblock guard crush. So essentially, the basic idea is to use slash and heavy buttons more in your pressure and use deterrents such as 2 and 4S, enhanced stun dipper, and enhanced overhead to make them respect some of your other options. Then, if you think your opponent is not doing anything, you could take advantage of dash cancels on both style of follow-ups to push your turn. Now, as you go on and become more advanced with the character, one of the most important things you have to pay attention to is whether or not your opponent is using faultless defense, because really this applies to 2H. Things can whiff at certain distances. An easy rule for the beginning, though, is that your 2S follow-up will basically never whiff. So, if you're unsure about distance stuff, you really want to aim to use 2S. Next, we need to talk about how to defend. Now, the good news is that this is pretty simple with Unika. So you have a 5-frame mashing crouching jab, which you can link into 6P very easily. Then you can go into a soft down on stun dipper, or you could go into wild assault, but I don't really recommend that most of the time. She does have a meterless reversal, so you have a great deterrent there for people. And her jump H is an easy way to jump out of throws. Finally, she has a grounded backdash, which means you get pretty good reward for backdashing things. And since she's on the ground for the majority of her backdash, getting hit out of it is not the end of the world. So next we want to talk about knockdown stuff. So you have a pretty simple goal. I did note a lot of people really seem to like using the 5HH follow-up, but the only thing about that is that depending on the distance of the knockdown, you might be too far to actually do stuff. So in my opinion, you either want to use Jump H or you want to use Enhanced Fireball. The big thing about Enhanced Fireball being that you are really plus, it's a lot easier to use the frame data. And specifically for her, she doesn't have a lot of moves that are like super active. So I'm talking about something that's more than 6 frames. So Enhanced Fireball just makes this a lot easier to deal with. Another nice thing about it is that this move makes a lot of reversals with depending on the distance. So you really want to experiment with this. And by the way, I'm definitely not kidding when I'm saying this is my go-to knockdown situation at the moment. I've been playing her every day since she came out, and originally I was just kind of like running up, doing stuff, trying the 5HH OTGs. So at the end of my 3rd day, I was exclusively using the laser and JH for almost everything, and I think it helped me out a lot. So next, combos. So you have 2 main beginner routes. I'm sure she's going to get very optimized down the line, but I've been mostly learning her through matches, which might sound a little bit unusual for me, but we play matches so we can see what we can actually learn and what to do with the character. So essentially there's 2 main ideas you want to focus on. You want to combo into 2HH somehow. I know this 2H is multiple hits, but I just end up mashing it out because of how I buffer stuff. But you want to go into the enhanced overhead, which adds a ground bounce. And then you could do another close slash into 2H again, into however you want to end. That's the main vibes of mid-screen. So for example, you do close slash 2H, 2H overhead, close slash 2H, 2H enhanced stun dipper, and you run up and do your laser. The closer you are to the corner though, you can use DP. And from here, 5H reaches from really far. So you could do DP into 5H into 24S, and this will break. This also applies to the corner. The main difference being that you'll generally be close enough to actually do follow-ups with moves. And long term, your goal is definitely going to be aiming for wall splatting with an enhanced move. Because the difference between doing so and not doing so is pretty significant. So here, this is like the normal Mega Death Buster, which did 232. But doing the same combo, but ending with the follow-up 2H right into Mega Death Buster, will give you an enhanced one, which does more damage. That's basically the idea behind her combos though. The main other thing to note is that she does have 2K2D Wild Assault. You can use the same ideas if you want here. Now, finally, we have to talk about a little bit of technique with the character. So I did mention earlier that she has ranges where she may not be able to convert things. And I mentioned stuff like her DP combos. The thing about this character is that the follow-ups to her normals have dash cancels on them. So she could do what other characters do off their dash cancelable normals, like close slash and 5k, off all of her follow-ups, which would be the dash Kara cancel. So generally you see people do this off like kicks or close slash, but she has the ability to do this off her other follow-ups. So for example, getting this dash 5H is possible, but it's pretty low. And you really want to try to really run it down to try to get this as easily as possible. It could be hard to follow up with something like the follow-up 2H, like this, where if you use the dash cancel, it becomes much easier to run up and do more normals and not have to commit special moves. So if you play this game for a while, you do know about these car cancels. However, with Unika, they decided to do something to make it easier to play her. So the big thing is that there's a shortcut for her car cancels, which other characters don't have. She, like many other characters, have one button inputs for her follow-ups if you want. So what I mean is, if you do 6H, which powers up in one button, you could do 6H into a DP motion, or you could do 6H 6S. Similarly, you could do 6H 2-6K for enhanced stun dipper, or you could do 6H 6K. So by that logic, then you can do the dash cancel Kara by doing dash forward plus button. Since you could do it raw off 6H, this is a great way to practice. You could do 6H and literally slam dash while holding forward and pressing S, and you will always get Kara DP 100% of the time. Similarly, you can do the same with 6K And the same with laser. Now, the only move you can't do this with is the overhead, because there's no real way to hold forward. If you're mashing, you're going to get enhanced stun dipper. So this you have to do correctly, but it is worth learning. Remember when I was talking about fighting jumps? So being able to do this enhanced dash is really, really nice, because there are ranges where jump will avoid your overhead. So instead, you use this, and now she is very plus. She's plus enough to do close slash. So the 214K, the overhead, is the main one you need to actually do the input. But for all the combos I listed before, anytime you do a follow-up, like 2H, which remember, 2H, H, you're upgrading special move, you can do 2H, H into forward plus dash plus S to get Kara DP. This will make it much less likely for you to miss harder combos, and makes it so that you will never ever miss this stun dipper conversion. But yeah, that's it for Unika. Let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully this helps if you're picking her up. I'm going to be continuing to play her because, like the other DLC characters, I'm going to be playing her for a week to kind of get a good vibe on where the character is. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to leave those in the comment section below. I do have a Patreon if you want to help support the channel over at patreon.com/LordKnight, as well as Guilty Gear coaching if you're interested in that, or any other fighting game that I played in the past at metafy.gg/LordKnight. We also stream basically every day at twitch.tv/LordKnight, and that's where we record videos for my second channel, LordKnight Chronicles, so check that out if you want. Like and subscribe if you guys feel like it, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.